Are you currently dieting and training but not noticing any progress? Right now, you're probably asking yourself, is it even working? Today, I'll be sharing 7 signs that you're in a calorie deficit. Now, this is in no particular order. Make sure to stick around to the end because I'll be sharing a bonus sign. Keep in mind that you may not experience all these symptoms, but you definitely want to be on the lookout for them. Alright, let's jump in. The first sign is changes in your body weight. This is pretty much a clear indicator that you're in a deficit. What you want to pay attention to is the average change in your body weight. So if you're weighing yourself daily, then that's good. What you can further do is add up your daily weigh-ins and then divide it by 7 at the end of the week. That'll let you know if your weight is going in the right direction. Don't get discouraged if you're seeing daily fluctuations in your weight, as that's normal. For example, you might be half a pound lighter one day and then a whole pound heavier the next. Just don't panic because your body's very dynamic. You see, it's constantly shifting around fluid in your body and regulating things like sodium and water retention. This can affect the scale weight, and it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. If your average weigh-in is decreasing over time, then you're doing just fine. The next sign some of you might experience is problems sleeping or a reduction in quality of sleep. Personally, I don't experience this until I get under about 15% body fat. When you're in a deficit, your body's trying to do a lot of things. It's tasked with trying to lose body fat, recovering from your workouts, as well as other stressors in your life. When you add a calorie deficit into the equation, this is what can cause sleep problems. However, if you run into this issue, there's a few things that you could do, like making your room as dark as possible and turning off your electronics about an hour before you go to bed. Another thing you can do is try adjusting your room temperature so that it's comfortable. If your environment is properly set up, that can definitely help out a lot. Now, depending on where you are in your diet, you may or may not experience the next sign, which is hunger. Hunger can be due to a couple of things. Either you're being too aggressive with your diet, or you may simply be towards the end of your diet where your calories are low anyway. Either way, this is a giveaway that you're definitely in a deficit. Now, if it's the first reason, you want to make sure that your calories are properly set up. Keep in mind, there will come a time where you're gonna be hungry. Just remember that it's part of the process. What's important here is that you want to make sure that it's truly hunger you're feeling and that you're not simply dehydrated. Quite often, people are not hydrated well, and it often mimics hunger. What you could do is drink a glass of water and see if the hunger goes away. Another thing I would suggest to do is to try looking at your meals and make sure that they're high volume foods. Now, sometimes people have everything set up correctly, their calories are right, their meals are prepped, but their food choices may not be exactly the best. An example of this is instead of having something like steak and potatoes, you can swap it out for chicken breasts or fish with a side of veggies. A simple swap like that does a couple of things. You still get the volume from the food, but you also incorporate veggies, which is also high in fiber. A leaner source of protein will also save you calories because it's lower in fat. Now, something important I want to mention is if you're used to processed foods, you may notice these hunger signals even early on in the process. In that case, you just want to give your body some time to get adjusted to your new eating habits. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to show your boy some love by smashing that like button. Also, consider subscribing for more content like this as I put out weekly content. Now, the next sign of a calorie deficit is your clothes will actually start to fit differently. I know this one sounds like an obvious one, but sometimes we're so focused on the scale not moving that we overlook something as simple as this. You know, we get caught up in the numbers dropping day after day. And believe me, I understand. But if you're noticing that your clothes are fitting more loosely, then that's definitely a good sign. It means that you're losing fat and that weight loss is occurring. You're definitely in a deficit. Now, I know some of you out there might still be in doubt, so what I would suggest is to start taking weekly progress photos if you aren't doing so already. This, without a doubt, will give you solid proof that what you're doing is working. You'll be able to compare the weekly photos to one another and see it for yourself. In a deficit, there's plenty of things that you'll experience, especially if it's your first time. Since being in a calorie deficit is what drives fat loss, you may experience the next sign, which is cravings. This doesn't always mean that you're in a deficit, but I do notice that people that are towards the end of their diet, they start to have this problem. What I like to do when I'm craving a particular type of food is I'll go online and try to find a recipe and then recreate it using lower calorie ingredients. I mean, yes, it does take time, but it still beats going out and getting fast food. Now let me know in the comments down below if you're experiencing any of these signs yet. If so, which one and how long have you been dieting for? Now this next one, you don't hear a lot of people talking about this, and it's a change in your body temperature. With this sign, some people may notice that they're starting to feel colder more often. You may find yourself turning on the heat or grabbing another layer of clothing. It's not a bad thing, it just means that your body's in a fat burning mode and it's adjusting to having less body fat. Again, this is individual based, and things like your current body fat as well as genetics play a big role. Not everyone will experience this. I tend to run into this issue when I go below 12% body fat. Now coming up on number 7 is mood swings. This tends to happen to a lot of individuals that are extremely lean, and it's definitely a sign of being in a deficit. This is something you may also notice in the beginning stages of your diet. But again, you want to make sure that you're choosing the right foods. If you're eating a ton of processed foods, what'll happen is your blood sugar will spike and then crash. That can cause mood swings. Quite commonly, mood swings tend to affect those that have been dieting for a long period of time. One of the main causes is changes in our body's hormones. If this happens to you, you may also notice that you have a lack of patience and you're just more irritable. Things that normally wouldn't bother you will cause you to react. So be on the lookout for this one. Now for the bonus sign, this is one that tends to go unnoticed, and it's a reduction in our overall activity. Now when I say activity, I'm not referring to your workouts or your cardio. Throughout the day, we normally do these little extra movements unconsciously, also known as fidgeting. When you've been dieting and you're in a deficit, those movements will gradually start to decrease. It lowers what's called our NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You see, our bodies are very smart and it'll start doing things to conserve energy. However, when your body senses that it's in a deficit, it'll start to panic. It doesn't want to burn body fat, it would rather hold on to it. So by doing this, it protects itself by limiting our activity. This is a big sign that you're in a deficit. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, you may or may not experience these signs. People who are successful in their diet not only have their calories dialed in, but they also have their meals set up properly. This all starts by choosing the right foods for your diet. Be sure to check out the next video where I talk about the foods you can eat to burn belly fat. As always, I want to thank you all so much for your support. I'll see y'all in the next video.